everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. This is my 5th attempt at making this video over the past couple of days. As you all know, I promised I would upload this video on Sunday, but today is Monday. And the reason for that is because I went out yesterday, I recorded the video and I recorded it in the wrong ratio. So when I got back to my laptop and I rendered the video, I then noticed it was square, and it's because I had my GoPro settings wrong. So do forgive me, I'm clearly not a pro when it comes to GoPros. Other car YouTubers have been doing this for years now, but for some reason it's taken me this long just to get this working, to be able to record with my GoPro and record the audio properly. But here we are, no more delays, and I thought what I'd do this time around, rather than worrying about how I'm saying things or whether I'm making any sense or blah blah, you know, important stuff, I thought instead I'd just go for a one take, boom, upload it, done approach. So you're gonna have to bear with me. I'm not used to recording and driving, so if there are times where I just zone out, it's probably because I'm concentrating on the road as opposed to what I'm saying. But with that said, the purpose of today's video is to answer a couple of your questions on my last video, which was about the work I've had done on my car. And some of you guys asked some really good questions, and I thought, let me just answer the recurring questions, the ones that were asked a couple of times from different people, which were, am I worried about using this car as a daily driver, considering I'm a dad and have to do dad things like take my daughters to nursery, etc. Why did I have the work done in the first place? And the burning question, does the car actually feel any faster? So I thought what we'd do is begin by recapping on exactly what I've had done to the car. I'll explain briefly why I had the work done, and then we'll get right into some driving and how different the car feels. Now, I've been out in this a couple of times since the work's been done. The car has been a little bit neglected because I've been busy with work. I've also been doing some traveling, both for work and personally, and we've been using my fiance's car a lot more, so this has just been kind of sat in the garage feeling sorry for itself. So to be honest, I'm kind of getting a bit reacquainted with the car because it's been a good 3-4 days now since I've driven it, so it's going to be, you know, it's going to be interesting. But let's recap. So here's what I've had done to the car. I had an MRC Stage 1 remap done to the car. That was first. I then had the forge, inlet pipe and turbo elbow fitted, and then the car was remapped for those parts. I then had a coil pack go. So a coil pack went in the car, which meant I needed to replace the coil pack. So I did that with the new revised coil packs, and then whilst we were doing that, I also had NRG race plugs fitted as well. I then had the forge intercooler fitted because I wanted to try and keep the temperatures of the car down and make sure that it's all flowing nicely and just do things that were going to help the car as opposed to put more strain on it. And again, they remapped and made sure that all of the parts were as optimized as they possibly could be, and of course that the car is running safely. And that's all I've had done so far. And it's really transformed the car. It's really transformed the car. Now, the reason why I had the work done was because it's a mixture of reasons, really. One, I made a decision that I would keep this car on a much longer term. So realistically, the miles that this car has done means it is going to be hard to either sell privately or trade in. And I don't necessarily want to go down the trade-in route because, of course, I'm going to get absolutely savaged on the price. So with that in mind, I thought, right, if I'm keeping this long term, maybe I could do some work to it just to give the car a bit of a, you know, bit of a refresh. Because although I've only had the car for nearly 2 years, I have done a lot of miles. So it wasn't feeling boring, but at the same time, I thought, well, you know, it'll be a slightly new driving experience. So why not? The other reason is because I've always wanted to tune a car but for many different reasons I've never done it properly. I've messed around with a couple of cars in the past, but I've never really gone for it. And I just thought, before I get older and before the opportunity passes me by, why not just give it a go and see if it's something that I'm into, scratch the itch sort of thing. And because I was such a big fan of other RS3 owners and some of the work they had done to their cars, it was like, oh, okay, why not? Like, let's just go for it. And as I explained in my previous video, I did reach out to a lot of those guys who were really helpful in helping me make wise choices, because something else that I wanted to be very careful with was the work I was having done on the car. I didn't want to do anything that would be too difficult to reverse or was just irreversible, full stop. If I ever needed to change the car back to its stock form, then I can. I've got all of the original parts, they're in my garage. Obviously the map can just be taken off, so that is an option should I need it. And that's partly why I didn't go down the route of having a decat fitted, because although you can reverse cats, obviously it's it's much harder to do. And also, same logic with bigger turbos, etc. I just didn't want to get to the point where the car became too much of a handful just to drive around London when I'm going to be in 5 mile an hour traffic. So that was how I went into it. And as I said again, in my previous video, the guys at MRC were great. The car is scheduled to go back to them to have some more work done, but I'll explain what that is toward the end of this video. But in terms of power, I think that is going to be me done. Now, there is one other thing I may change actually, which originally I didn't want to do, was a full intake system. And the reason for that was because I didn't want the flutter sound, because I thought it would annoy me. It sounded a little bit like a remap diesel, but actually I've noticed that in 3rd, 4th and 5th gear in this car, with the parts it does have, there is a bit of a flutter, and I actually quite like it. I do quite like it. So now I'm thinking, maybe I will go down a full intake. Maybe that is the way to go. And I don't think it will pick it up just yet, because it is a bit cold, but like, I'm in 3rd gear at the moment. If we just put our foot down, you might have heard that. Hopefully the GoPro will pick it up, but there's a slight flutter which I quite like. So I might go full intake, but that would be it, because I'm not going for huge power. I don't want to push the engine too much. And I'm not going to be, I might take it to Santa Pod, but I'm not going there trying to get the quickest speed or the quickest run. It's just not where I want to go. So that's what I've had done power wise, and that's why I had it done. So to answer the question of, does this car actually feel any faster, the short answer is yes, it feels a lot quicker. The uptake of speed is incredible. If you're doing 30, 40 miles an hour and you're approaching, say for example, you're on a slip road and you're joining a motorway, you put your foot down and it's like, before you know it, you're there. You're right at National. And I've driven the car on a couple of private roads as well. Similarly, it just puts down the power like it didn't before. It's the only way I can describe it. It's so quick now that I'm still getting used to the car, in the sense that at the moment I'm driving it in manual because these roads are a bit twisty and it's just a bit easier to regulate the speed yourself when you're going up and down and around corners and stuff like that. So I'm driving in manual, but if I really put my foot down, I'm finding that I'm not changing the gear. I'm changing gears too early because I'm scared about changing the gears too late. Because it's just so, it's like, and there's a little stretch up here that we can put our foot down on. But I have tried launching the car a couple of times, and I was going to launch the car in this video, but because the roads are so wet, the car just doesn't go anywhere. It just doesn't go anywhere. It's like, I'm still running the Pirelli tyres, so as I said in my previous video, I do need to change them because these tyres are useless. But the car just spins, all 4 wheels spin. And you know, you're spinning, it's bouncing off the rev limiter in first, you change to second, you're still spinning, and then by that point you've kind of pretty much missed the launch. You're then just going fast, you're not launching. But it's just like, you know what I mean, like it's just crazy. You know, that was like 40 to 70 in just a little burst. You know, it's just madness. It's mad to me that a car this small with, you know, relatively minor work done to it, you know, it's not like I've taken the car to Tim Radley, couldn't be this quick. You know, this car is now, I would say this car is arguably as fast as the current gen RS6, not the RS6 Performance, the RS6 Standard, and the R8. Obviously, the way the R8 delivers its power is going to be a little different, but I would say it's got to be near enough as quick, if not a little bit quicker. But in the corners there's no difference, it still grips nicely. You know what I mean? It's just madness. You know, and like it still just plants itself so nicely. You know what I mean? Just crazy to me. Do get some more pops and bangs now as well, letting off in certain gears. Right, it's just nuts. It's just crazy. It's so cool. It's crazy, but it's so cool. Like it really does leave you speechless sometimes, because you think, fuck me, like this is a small little car and it is shifting along. It's just, yeah, it's just nuts to me. I honestly, guys, I'm not great at explaining or describing, you know, quick cars. You may remember, if you've watched it, I made an RS6 video a couple of years back. I basically just drove around smiling because I didn't know what to say. But I'm really happy with the work I've had done, and so far I haven't had any issues, or not issues, but I haven't noticed any negatives. Like, it's just crazy. Nuts. Anyway, I haven't noticed any negatives that I can speak to. I mean, obviously, I've said this in videos before, but fuel isn't really something that I pay that much attention to. But I have noticed that the fuel weighs worse, obviously. The fuel weighs much worse. In fact, I might be able to tell you what the... let's have a look. Oh, okay, hang on. Bear with me. Consumption display. So where are you? Okay, car's being a bit weird, but I have essentially, I'm averaging about 14 miles per gallon in the short term, so not great. It's just over, it's 14.9, so not great. But like I said, that's not something that I pay much attention to anyway. It might be something you want to consider if you're thinking of having work done to your car, but yeah, it's not really a worry of mine. And then tyres is the only other thing. Like, I've noticed, you know, launching the car, can't get the grip. Sometimes when I've put my foot down a couple of times, it will slide a little. I was coming out of a roundabout, I think it was last week, maybe the week before. I was coming out of a roundabout, there was a guy in a Golf R kind of like egging me on, like, you know, and I thought, why not, I'm on my own, let's go for it. So I put my foot down and basically just slid out of the roundabout. Like, kind of imagine that I'm coming out of the roundabout, I've put my foot down as I'm coming out to go straight over, and it's a 2-lane road, I'm going into the right lane, but instead the car's just sliding directly forward, so I'm ending up in the left-hand lane instead, behind the Golf. So that was a bit hairy. But I'm going to be changing the tyres very soon. I just need to find the time to actually book the car in to have the work done. And then the only other things I'd like to have done to the car is I'd like it lowered, because I think it's a little high at the back, and I want to change the wheels. And I think if I were to change the wheels without lowering the car, it'd look a bit odd. So I'd like to change the wheels, but what I've done is I've looked at so many wheels now that it's almost like analysis paralysis, because I don't know what wheels I want and I can't choose, because there's so many different questions I have, like, do I stick with black wheels? If I go down silver wheels, will the two silvers clash? I.e. my aluminium pack and a silver wheel, is there going to be like a weird clash? You know, like all of these crazy things that you probably wouldn't usually think of, but because I haven't just jumped into it, I've looked at too many now. So if you've got any suggestions or recommendations for wheels, again, do leave those in the comments below. Okay guys, so I've just pulled over. Thought we'd just have a quick walk around of the car. First of all, it's really dirty. It's also very windy out here, so hopefully you can hear me, but the car it's really overdue a clean. When you use the car every day, this happens. Fortunately, because it's blue, I feel as though it still looks all right, you know, but it definitely needs a clean. But yeah, hopefully this video turns out okay. As you know, or as some of you will know if you've watched my previous videos, it's my first real attempt at using a GoPro to record my car and also figure out the audio. So hopefully the stars align and it works. But if you've made it this far, I really do appreciate you guys watching the video. Hopefully I made sense. If there's any questions you want to ask me, just let me know in the comments below. I am going to be making more videos like this, so I will be driving the car more now, especially as I know that the audio works. And yeah, any suggestions for the type of videos you'd like to see, put them forward and we'll go from there. I'm going to be going on a kind of mini road trip in a couple of days, so I'm going to record a video there. And then also, you may have noticed, if you haven't, go to my community tab, because I put a couple of questions up. The first one was a little misleading, it's just me being stupid, but the second was a little more direct, and it was about, do you guys care about the car only, or would you like to know a bit more about me? And it seems like some of you want to know a bit more about me, so I'm also going to make a video where I talk about my background a little more, both personally and professionally, some of the challenges I've gone through and overcome, and yeah, just give you a bit more of an insight into who I am as a person and what I'm about and what I'm interested in outside of cars and photography. And yeah, so again, if you've got any questions about me, so specific things you'd like to know, then just put them forward. Super open, I'm happy to share anything. So that video will be coming in a couple of days too. So yeah, the idea is to try and just get more and more and more content out for you guys. So that you can get to know me a bit more. So that is me done. GoPro was a success. Fingers crossed it works. And yeah, until the next video guys, peace.